I think I'm going to let Nathan kick us off now that we are all set up.
Thank you. Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay. The Space Court Foundation calls the 2023 Intern Orientation into session. Hi, everyone. For anyone I haven't met yet, my name is Nathan Johnson, and I am the co-founder and executive director of the Space Court Foundation. It is my pleasure to open up this year's intern orientation, and thank you to our internship coordinator, Julia Malette, for putting it together. I'll introduce my fellow co-founder, Chris Hearsey, in just a moment, but I wanted to talk about why the internship program is so important. When Chris and I talked about forming the Space Court Foundation, we talked about how important it was for us as professionals to give back to current students and fellow young professionals and help them succeed to where we are, to give as many people opportunities that they or we didn't have. So while we have research projects and educational outreach that you'll hear more about, the internship program is itself an important part of what we do. And thank you for being a part of it. With that, I will go ahead and introduce Chris Hearsey, the other co-founder and chairperson of the board of directors.
Thank you, Nathan. Let me just pull up our presentation. Hopefully everyone can see that. All right, excellent. So let me do this. All right, everyone can see it. All right, well, as Nathan said, thank you, Nathan. I am Nathan and I co-founded the Space Court Foundation. And I also serve as the chair of the board of directors for the Space Court Foundation. Today, with our research orientation, we've done this for several years, and we wanted to make sure that interns at both current perspective and our space law advocates now understand and keep up to date with what we're doing at the Space Court Foundation. We have a lot of research initiatives, a lot of things going on, and we want to make sure that everyone understands what is going on and how we're structured. And many of the interns who are on right now, this is your first orientation. Some of this will be new to you, but several of the points I want to reiterate about your internship. But with that, welcome and thank you for interning with the Space Court Foundation this year. For those who will be rotating off this year, thank you for participating. Thank you for all your hard work. We really appreciate it. On behalf of the research team, I say thank you for all that you guys have done. You've really moved us forward. And to those prospective students, we'd love to have your application and to consider you for the next year of research programs. And I hope when we get through this presentation, you'll see something that excites you and you will apply. So let's get started. So today's agenda will cover the internship program and the research, as well as the Space Court Law Library and the editorial board. As a function, first, I want to apologize to Mclee. I've put a typo in his name. It's actually Kerolle, Kerolle, Mclee Kerolle. But the internship program is structured where Julia Malette, as many of you know, and who introduced the program today, is our internship coordinator. And she'll be the primary person you're interfacing with. You'll also be interfacing with Mclee Kerolle, who is our mentorship coordinator. Julia and Mclee work together with our interns to make sure that they get the most out of it and ensure that they have a very positive experience and learn from what we are doing at the Space Court Foundation. I'll also mention that currently we are looking for a research supervisor, but that's not important right now. So the Space Court internship category. So what type of internship can you get with the Space Court Foundation? Right now, we offer legal research clerkships. Our legal clerks have access to our research program and are slotted into a variety of different programs. But right now, the primary program that every intern is slotted into is the Big Book of National Space Law program, which we'll get into shortly. We also have communications clerks who help us develop social media content and put out messaging for the Space Court. We also have programming clerks to help us develop additional programming and get new ideas and make sure that we are responsive to our interns as well as the general public and the space community, and make sure we can bring interesting and contemporary discussions and projects to fruition. Those who are leaving the Space Court Foundation will leave either as a Space Court advocate or will stay on as rapporteur. If you leave as an advocate, you're helping us with outreach, and you're working with Julia and several other officers to get the word out about the Space Court Foundation and help us build relationships. And so in that framework, you're basically an ambassador. The rapporteurs are those alumni that graduate from the clerkship program and stay on to work on not only the research they may have worked on, but additional research that is of their interest. Many rapporteurs end up transitioning to officer positions within the Space Court Foundation. In both cases, they're a part-time volunteer position, and nomination to this comes from the intern coordinator and the research staff. The requirements of the internship are communication, professionalism, mentorship, education, networking, and teamwork. The number one thing about this internship, it is a global virtual internship. Some of you do it for credit, some of you do it for non-credit. Regardless, we ask of every intern to be professional and also to timely communicate with the officers and myself to make sure that you're on task and you're working with your teams, and that if you have any questions or concerns or comments or anything of value that you want to bring to us, we need to hear from you. We communicate via email, and we have a WhatsApp thread for the interns. So there's lots of opportunities to connect with all officers. I mentioned professionalism. That's a big part of it. That requires everyone to work in a collegial way, not to disparage folks, but also to comport yourself in a way that leads to a professional product. Many of you, most of our interns are either law students or postgraduates in law or graduates in law. And so this is an important aspect of your ability to practice and to do what you want to do in the law, and professionalism is a big part of this. And so we expect it, and we help you develop it as well. And we help you develop through a mentorship program. So your mentorship arises by being paired with an officer. Each one of you who interns with the Space Court Foundation is assigned an officer, and you'll also have Mclee to help you as well. But we want to ensure that everyone coming through the program can learn from others. Everyone who is a part of the Space Court Foundation, either as a board member, an officer, an advisor, or even alumni, they all come from different backgrounds. And so we're here to help you. If you have questions about your career or how you want to move about your career, or just about the industry itself or space law or policy, we're here to help you. All you have to do is just reach out. This is a research internship, and so education is very important. We want you to learn from this experience and learn what's going on, especially in your home country, of when it comes to the development of space law and policy. Everything you do here creates educational resources that you and others can use. And along those lines, we also encourage networking. As I said, we want you to interact with your assigned officers, but as I said, you have access to a lot of other folks within the Space Corps network. And that's really important for jobs, for relationships. I won't bore you with a lot of stories right now, but when I was younger, I found networking is probably one of the most important things I did starting out in my early career. At the very least, you get to learn about who's in the community, but more importantly, you get to figure out through networking what you like and don't like when it comes to space law, space policy, the space community, and it helps you tailor your career and your interests much more effectively. But more important, more importantly, space law and policy, the entire community is very small. So networking, you're going to be knowing everyone. You're going to be a degree or two away from everyone in the industry. And so it's important to know who you're connected to and to develop those relationships, because they will help you in your career. And, you know, I would say the space community is very pro advocate. I've met many folks, and certainly within our group, that want to help students, want to help you develop your careers and make sure that you have the resources to do that. And lastly, but not least, teamwork. So many of you will work in groups, both maybe within your country or internationally. You might be in an international group. And again, we ask you to observe communication and professionalism in your dealings with your team. And teamwork is a very important part of this internship, because this is the way you get group projects done. And so working amongst yourselves, and if you can't figure it out, then you let one of us know, you let Julia know, or Mclee know, or me know, you know, if you're having trouble. But again, that goes back to communication and why that's so important with a virtual internship. So right now we have research programs and we have publications in development. So all interns, as I said, will work on the big book of national space law, but many interns will flow across these different programs and publications. You may have heard we have the Andrew Haley project. Andrew G. Haley is the first practicing space lawyer. We are working on content and programming around his life. And we're going to be celebrating the 60th anniversary of his publication, Space Law and Government, this year. We also have Stellar Decisis. If you haven't checked it out, please go to our YouTube page and look at our pilot on planetary defense. But it is an animated moot court series. If you are slotted into the Stellar Decisis program, you're working on the compromis, the bench briefs, and the production. And also we have developed, starting last year, the Space Law Archive and History Project. This is a broader project where you'll be assigned to different types of scholars, especially those who were contemporaries of Andrew G. Haley at the time, which was around the 1930s to 1960s. And we'll be developing profiles and social media content as well. But in terms of the publications that we're working on, we have the Space Law Research Guide, which will be a resource for everybody. And we hope to publish that this year. We're also working on the Big Book of National Space Law. We're also been working on the Space Law Lexicon, and eventually we'll be working on the International Yearbook of Space Activities. Our research timeline right now starts for this year through 2027. Our goal is to get, as I said, is to publish the Space Law Research Guide this year, and then to start to finalize some initial chapters of the Big Book of Space Law. And then as it goes through, we'll be developing our lexicon, we'll be standing up our subcommittees. We will continue work on the Space Law Archive and History Project. And eventually, we want to get to the initial publications of the International Yearbook of Space Activities, which will be a compendium, a year-by-year compendium of analysis and facts of what happened in those years, and seeing how different law has evolved around space activities, and how space activities themselves have evolved. And we also hope to start publication on the dictionary, which will be a collection of legal terms. So we have a lot going on. There's a lot of interesting things everyone can work on. So there's plenty of stuff here. So what's the structure? Right now, as I said, you're in the internship program, and the internship program covers the Space Court Law Library and also the editorial board. So the Space Court Law Library is structured this way currently. I serve as the law library director, and then we have folks, Jonathan on the line. He's our director of legal research and social projects. Yana Yakashina is our deputy director. And then we have Tamara Blagojevich and Chris Van Eyck, who are both associate director of legal research and special projects. And so this is our team right now. We're always looking for more folks to build out the research team. We have plenty to do, but this is who you will be working with this year. Our editorial board is just beginning to form, and this gives you sort of an overall structure of how everything is sort of put together. We have the editorial board, while I serve as editor-in-chief. Jonathan, Yana, Tamara, and Chris, we all collectively have oversight over the two main areas editorial board that we're working on, which is development of the research subcommittees, which will be centered around international customs, international agreements, and general principles of law. And then the research publications. As I said, it's the International Yearbook of Space Activities, the Big Book of National Space Law, and currently we're working on the Space Law Lexicon. So with that, I want to thank everyone for who's coming here today. And if you are looking to apply, please send an email to internship.application@spacecourtfoundation.org. And please check out the Law Library page, link is there. And then on the Space Court Foundation website, you will also find an application to download so you can have all the materials together. And I just want to warn everybody, make sure you have all your materials together before you submit. Otherwise, we will not consider your application. All appointments are for 1 year, and you will be part of what we're doing here, which also includes space cafes and several other things, which I think Julia might mention. But with that, I'll turn over the program to Julia. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. That was a great overview of what we have going on, which is some really, really exciting projects. I am going to actually move to a discussion with a few of our officers right now. I do have a few more things to say, kind of building off of what Chris already mentioned, but I'm going to save that till a little later because we have some of our officers with us today to kind of speak about the exciting work that they're doing. And it's a chance for interns to kind of get to know people in different areas of the organization. So, you know, as Chris kind of showed, we do have an amazing crew of space law and policy experts who serve in various capacities in the organization, as advisors, as officers. And so today we're going to hear from just a couple of them. And so fortunately, we're joined by Jeff Lippman, Jonathan Kay-Isley, and Laetitia Zarkan, who are all active with the organization and have served various different roles. And so they're going to talk to us a little bit about, you know, what they do at the organization, how interns can participate, and to give some tips to you all. So I want to start with Jeff because I know that you have another commitment coming up. So I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity. But Jeff is one of our newest advisors to the organization. So I'll start with you. Can you talk to us a little bit about what is your role with the Space Court Foundation, you know, where you're coming to us from and kind of what drew you to the organization?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Julia. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending on where you are. Evening, I suppose, for some of you. In any event, my name is Jeff Lippman. I've been an attorney since I think I got admitted in 1994. I'm licensed in Maryland and the District of Columbia and the federal courts for both those areas, 2 different districts. I am a special advisor to the board of directors. I believe that position is somewhat flexible and adaptable to whatever the board needs. So I sort of view it as, you know, in-house counsel on an as-needed basis. And I think it's oftentimes it's going to be on some of the stuff that's rather dull and boring, such as regular contracts. So, you know, for instance, Nathan forwarded me a licensing contract to look at to make sure it was mutual. It wasn't, it was unilateral. I have a contract I need to look at for Chris, which I think we might be covering tomorrow. And I've looked at some other things generally. But that's not really my interest. I'm very happy to do it. I'm excited for the opportunity. One of my specialties is finding myself new jobs that don't pay any money. So that's a great skill. Hopefully I will teach interns how to avoid doing that unless they want to make it so. I am good luck monetarily for other people generally, just not myself. I came to you by accident. I have a podcast. I actually have a couple, and one of them is called Garden Views, and I was curious about the emerging law space. I was very happy to find out that there was already people working on that, and that led me to Nathan and then to Chris. They've both been on the show. Yana was on the show. I hope that all of you will consider being on the show at some time. That is absolutely not a requirement of your role with Space Corps Foundation. It is entirely voluntary. I cannot stress that enough. I don't want anyone to feel any pressure. It's fun for me. Hopefully it's fun for you. Most guests say it's fun, but I think it'd be fun, for instance, to find out what is European and the French law approach to space law from Laetitia, or whatever your areas of expertise are, meaning collectively you, and it doesn't even have to be space law. You may have some other interests that are interesting and part of the show, but forget about the podcast. I mean, that will help raise awareness and things like that. But it's just my origin story on how I sort of stumbled and bumbled, and through intuition and trying to extrapolate what I thought might be the laws of space based on the laws of terra firma here, that I actually found myself in the right direction and managed to book the right guests. And I guess either impressed or didn't turn off Nathan and Chris too much, or they said, there's a sucker, and they reeled me in. But I'm thrilled to do it. A lot of your ongoing projects fit in with the concept that I have. This is my third not-for-profit that I'm involved with, that is more than just a member. I'm not currently involved with any others, but one was an international trade group. The other was my law school's alumni association, and now Space Court. So I understand the value of fundraising, but also being a practical, granular commercial litigation attorney for almost 3 decades now. I see an opportunity for Space Court, with its ongoing research projects, to put together, and its 6 degrees of separation, to put together sort of a roadmap product, which would take the various chains of commerce and sort of connect them together with the definitions, the laws that apply, regulatory processes, and then actual template contracts, including maybe insurance and things like that, that get you from, say, satellite manufacturer to in orbit and beyond, and other examples as well. And there could be an American version, there could be a European version. I mean, and the target would be that could be a speaker, a paid speaker engagement, or it can be a product that's sold to big law firms, small practices who want to have a leg up, industries, MBA programs, law schools, trade groups like the Commercial Law League of America, which I used to be involved in, which merged with the IACC, which I was involved with, that are always looking for new chains of commerce and new lines of business for themselves, because they're sort of dinosaurs. So hopefully it's a win-win-win for the customers and for Space Court and for the people working on it, because it's part of the research that you're doing anyway. It's just probably going to just take it out of the definition book and put it into someplace else, but it shouldn't take away from anything. So that's sort of a project I've come up with. Whether it's adopted or not, that is yet to be determined, but so far nobody's said no, and so far everyone seems interested, and I don't think it's going to have much of a budget. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, I'm anxious to work with the interns. I want to be available to you for whatever. I don't know a lot about space law, but I know about running a practice. I know about common sense. I know about being a lawyer and tax-exempt entity governance. So I'm happy to be a resource to all of you, especially the board. We're all learning together. So hopefully if I cross any lines, Chris or Nathan will tell me that's really not what you as advisors should do. I don't think that'll happen, but if it does, I get it. I'm very good at drawing in the lines once I know what the lines are. And so we'll figure that out together. But I look forward to talking with all of you, working with all of you. And I thank you for the opportunity. And Julie, I thank you for bumping me up to the top, because I do have I am at work today. I telecommute. It's maybe hard to tell, but I have an 11 o'clock appointment, which, it can be at 11:05 or 11:07. But so if anyone has any questions for you, if you have any follow-ups, I'm happy to try to address them.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Yeah, and for introducing yourself and giving people a sense of what you're going to be working on with the organization. And yeah, if there are questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or follow up with Jeff afterwards. And, if any of the interns want to connect specifically and want my help with that, just let me know as well. And so I'm gonna turn it over to Laetitia and Jonathan as well, to kind of give them a chance to talk a little bit about, and we already have someone who wants to be a guest on your podcast, Jeff. All right.
Yeah, just reach out to me. I have a Space Court email, or you can use my work email or connect with me otherwise. But yeah, I'm very happy to do that. And thank you all. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm very responsive. I do need to bounce out, but I thank you for the opportunity, and I'm sorry I sort of had to rush in and out.
Thanks so much for your time.
All right, take care, everyone.
All right, so let me turn it over to Laetitia, who has been serving in various capacities with Space Court almost really since the very early days. So can you talk to us a little bit first about, what is your current role, what past roles have you had, and kind of what drew you to the organization as a start?
Yes, thank you, Julia. Hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. So I started working with the Space Code Foundation because it was my former mentor / boss who told me about the foundation and told me that it was a great space law expert who started this amazing educative project. And of course, I wanted to jump in. At the time, I was an intern, but I started working with him on the organization of programs for the Space Court. And because of his position, he has also a lot of different contacts, a very broad network, plus the one of Nathan and Chris. We managed to invite so many great speakers to discuss about extremely topical issues, because at the time it was mostly issues about space arbitration, about space security, about different aspects related to diplomacy. And I became a bit later director of programming in order to continue the organization of the different programs. And because of professional reasons, lack of time, unfortunately, I had to step out from this position, but very happy to always be in contact with some of you who would want to take over the Space Coast Foundation video program and organize some webinars with people just to discuss how it was done. This would be amazing to resume this initiative, because to be honest, we really had fascinating discussion. As an example, for the first session on the Artemis Accords, so they were not released yet, and we had the chance to have Mike Gold, who was the acting administrator of NASA, and Gabrielle Sweeney as well, who is doing legal work for NASA as well. So everybody was in like this huge discussion, and you had this Chinese scholar who started to question many points, many points of the Artemis Accords during the Space Code Foundation video. So, like the discussion continued, and we wrapped up. And a few weeks later, Mike Gold told us, "Hey, it was great. Let's do a second episode." And we're like, okay, definitely, we will have other people, because of course we want different perspectives on the Artemis Accords, but let's do it. And it's great because we see that with the Space Code Foundation, we have a real impact on how to make things move forward, and this comes by discussing, by involving international actors, and mostly by involving contradictory point of view. And this really adds up to the discussions, because if we all agree, first, lawyers will not be so useful, and second, we will just have extremely blank laws and norms and treaties, and that's why we have always to contradict and to discuss and to move forward on the things. So at the moment, I'm a member of the board of advisors of the Space Code Foundation, and I hope that I can contribute to the future of the activities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laetitia. And then Jonathan, to you, the same question. What's your current role? What drew you to the organization? And maybe a little bit about some of the projects you're working on.
Okay, well, I mean, I think as Chris showed in the org chart, for the interns, well, first of all, I'm Jonathan Kay-Isley. I'm the director of legal research here at the Space Court Foundation, and I am like Jeff 25-year lawyer. My specialty has been in information security and regulatory compliance, including ITAR and export controls and things that are relatively important in the space sector and also in the financial sector. I'm also a graduate of the Leiden Air and Space Law LLM program at Leiden University. I'm based in the Netherlands between the International Court of Justice, ESA, and Leiden University. So it's a great, I picked a great place to live because I can bicycle to all three of them. I am, as Chris said, I'm deputy editor of most of the writing projects here at the Space Court Foundation. So I am available. I help you with your writing, hopefully. I hope we all make each other better. Hopefully I help make the groups that are working on projects together, help you with any problems that arise, that any conflicts or issues that are in your way, keep you from making progress. I can't poke you, I can't prod you, but I can nudge you in the right direction. The other thing is I'm a space lawyer. I'm based here in The Hague, so I'm available for consultation. I think space law, those of you who are just learning about space law, maybe you have big questions that are really easily answered just by a 5-minute conversation with somebody who might have run into it before. I try to take a pretty international perspective, being an American in Europe, and so I try to be available in the Central European time zone. I have a few mentees here, and of the new interns, I'll probably be available for mentorship with you as well. So I look forward to that, and mostly to being available to you for support, questions about not just the law, about your career, about your progress, and maybe a connection or two in the industry. I think I won't say too much, but Chris listed the big projects, the big book of space law, which you most will be working on. Has to do with national space laws in various countries, and cataloging and linking and collating all the various laws that apply to the space industry and rocket launches and satellites and all the things that are space adjacent. So that's a great project. The Haley project is fantastic. We'll be doing another historical project, I'm sure in the near future, that will combine legal scholarship and historical insights. Part of the fun is you're not just looking at a figure from history, their opinion of space law, but you're also looking at the context of the times and looking through old photographs and finding audio clips that no one knew were there, and that's kind of a fun adventure too. So in addition to the drudgery of cataloging national space law, there's also the fun of some historical insight too. So yeah, I hope that's attractive to you. I hope that folks are excited and that new prospective interns will apply and join us in this adventure. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Jonathan. And then turning it back over to Laetitia one more time, if you can share a little about any tips or anecdotes that you have from your career and your path, kind of going from an internship yourself into being a space law and policy expert. Any tips you want to share for interns who are just embarking on their careers in space law and policy?
So I would say that one of the very challenging part of being a space lawyer, which is also one of our great force, is that it's a very niche domain, meaning that there are not so many cases in front of jurisdiction at the moment, more in arbitration, and there are not so many people who are aware of what's happening. That's why we have to keep the discussions going, and we have to be, you know, like as aware of every single thing that is happening as we can. No stress, like you don't have to know everything. For instance, when I, at the very, very beginning of my career, I was meeting a French guy working for the French embassy in Washington, and he was extremely, you know, like self-confident, arrogant kind of. And it was the very beginning of my job, and he was like, "Oh, and by the way, did you see what happened with the X-37B?" And I looked at him and I had no idea, because in France, we don't speak so much about the X-37B. And for me, it was just like letters and numbers. And it happens that it's the US spacecraft that it sent, and for specific missions that nobody really knows about, but that raises a lot of questions from the international community, you know, you can have a lot of discussions. But we are lawyers. We are here to explain. We are here to define. We are here for people to understand what's happening. So please never be arrogant. If the person in front of you does not know, be the one explaining it to the person. If the person is not really good and you can see it, just be the one accompanying them, because when I started, I was not good at all because I did not know. And the thing is, I tend to be how do you say, stubborn, you know? So even if at the beginning my level was weak, I just kept going. And I had the chance to have as mentors people who just believed in me and were like, you know what, you continue, you make mistakes. If you make mistake, we are here in a benevolent and kind way. We are here to show you what you did wrong. And as an intern, I had to, you know, take the critics and to say, okay, this was wrong. It's not about me. It's about, you know, my current knowledge, and you can always progress. That's why I'm saying no pressure. Just aim at being good at what you are doing, at loving what you are doing, because otherwise you will drop very, very soon. But at the same time, you know, be bold, because if you like it, just start initiatives and get involved, and also fight for your rights, because as young people, especially in my country, where hierarchical how to say, relationships are extremely important, we don't dare fight for a better salary, or we don't dare fight for, you know, like more recognition. And this is something that don't be afraid of just, you know, like pushing if you think that you deserve something. That's also important. And if it's refused to you, you know, if they don't want to, ask what you can do better in order to get this salary increase, or if you can get more recognition. I think that's important. So yeah, first advice is aim at perfection, but don't think you're perfect. And second advice is be self-confident enough to be bold, because if you love the field, you want to be involved in all of the things you can. And that's what's great about space.
Thank you, Laetitia. And same thing for Jonathan, if you have any anecdotal tips you want to share for folks who are just embarking on their space law and policy careers.
Yeah, I would say just thinking about what Laetitia just said, and I would just say to all those new in the field, new to this career, new to their careers, or starting out, your most important asset is in your integrity. This is a really small community of space lawyers. As Laetitia said, it's a niche field, and globally that means we can all fit in a room sometimes, whether it's at a conference or, you know, in your daily life. Your integrity is your most important asset. And so the values that Chris was talking about of communication and responsibility and those kinds of things, and professionalism. Those are the things that, and also those are the things that will follow you around. And so, you have to be tuned into that and not make big mistakes, and not be so paralyzed of fear of making mistakes that you don't. But anyways, the point is to be honest and follow through on your commitments and communicate when you can't, and those kinds of things. So those are the things we practice here at the Space Corps Foundation to try and so that everyone is on the same page and the organization functions well. The other thing I would say is just that it's valuable experience in the industry, and it's also about who you can connect with. And so the more of a network you build, like Chris said, the networking is the single most important thing you can do. Making friends, making acquaintances, but really sharing your excitement about the future, really about space, the current state of space, and the way we're going, and the way humanity will expand in space, which is pretty much infinitely interesting to a lot of people. And so anyway, I would say that's another huge benefit of being an intern at Space Corps Foundation. I was an intern and a rapporteur, and now I'm an officer. So yeah, I'd say it's hugely valuable, and always in your best interest to do good work, and like I say, otherwise it follows you around. Your good works and your bad work. So anyway, that's it. Thanks, Julia.
All right, thank you to you both for joining us and sharing some about your work and some tips. We have a couple of our alumni joining us today too, to talk a little bit about their experiences as having gone through the internship program, and to also give some tips to current interns. So I want to welcome Tapaswini Sharma and Diana Chicas-Garcia, who are both with us. And so we're going to end with having them talk a little bit. And then if there's time at the end, I'm going to share a couple slides to kind of reiterate a few of the points that Chris already mentioned about programmatic changes for the year. But welcome Tapaswini and Diana. It's great to have you back and joining us today. Tapaswini, can we start with you? Can you share a little bit about what you did as an intern with the organization? I should note that Tapaswini also now serves as an advocate for the organization. As Chris mentioned, that is sort of a new post-internship position that intern alumni can take on. So Tapaswini, can you tell us a little bit about your experience and your interests in space?
Absolutely. I'm really happy to be here today, and sorry I was late because of a prior engagement, but yeah, definitely I'm super excited to talk about it. One thing funny with my internship was that I had no knowledge about law or space law, as a matter of fact, when I first joined the Space Corps Foundation. So when I first talked to Julia, I was so happy that they actually had me as an intern. And so when we started, it was, I think, quite confusing to get around, but with everyone's help, with everyone being so open-minded and so helpful to provide their guidance, to kind of, just help me wherever and whenever with, no, this is not how it's supposed to be, or you're right, you're doing great. And so I think that made the internship itself very fun and very engaging. What I did during my internship was, first I was a communications intern, then I became a communications and research intern. So we were brainstorming a lot with, I think there was one session which I had with Laetitia and Diana, and we were talking about the Space for Women program. I would often talk to Julia about these other projects or something about space law. all sorts of questions. Why is this way? Why is it that way? Once I even asked her that, so with the commercial space starting up, what are the exact laws, or what are the policies that these companies have to follow? Like, for instance, if we have the CEO of a major company flying up to space, and in case something happens to him, then who's going to be responsible? What are we going to be doing? And she's like, okay, that's great. Why don't you research upon this? And that's how one of the projects started. So yeah, I mean, there's been so many instances like that. And then working on the Andrew G. Haley project was absolutely mind-boggling. One man who has done so much for space law, and diving into his life, diving into the work he has done was, I think, it was incredibly eye-opening as to how much one can do in his lifetime. And I think it was pretty scary to see, the amount of stuff he's done, but also super amazing. And that was some of the stuff that I did during my internship at the Space Corps Foundation.
Great, thank you so much. And Diana, same question to you. If you can talk a little bit about your time in the internship program, and what were some of the projects you worked on?
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi Tapaswini. I worked on, so I was a law student at the time, and so I worked a lot on the big book of national space law. And so, like, with a little bit more context, I kind of stumbled into space law. I came into law school to do civil rights and tech law, and through networking, someone mentioned it like haphazard, like nonchalant, space law, and I said, well, you can actually do that, even though law's everywhere. And my school didn't offer any space law programs, and so I was digging for some internship or an organization that could help teach me a little bit more about it. And then I came across Space Corps Foundation, and literally this was my replacement for space law that I didn't have at the time, and I'm very grateful for it. And with the activities of researching the international and national laws, I learned a lot about different, space agencies, how they perceive different interpretations of the Outer Space Treaty, et cetera, and that led to also helping out Laetitia and Tapaswini with like the Women of Color series, which was such an inspiration to help out with, to the point where that inspired me to co-found the Space Law Society at my school, which led to us offering our first space law class last fall. And so, I'm eternally grateful for the opportunities that Space Corps has given me. And always here to give back.
Great, thank you so much. Back to Tapaswini, can you share a little bit about what you kind of found to be of particular benefit to you interning with the program, and any other maybe anecdotal experience that you want to share about your time in the program?
I think I definitely learned a lot from the program. Firstly, it's about the kind of atmosphere, that's involved in this profession. I used to be super scared of lawyers. I thought they would be, some scary people who would be like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be done, or, your specific term is wrong. But when I came to Space Corps Foundation, I think everyone's been so optimistic, and they've been so uplifting. It's a completely different atmosphere. So that was one of the things that I learned. I think space law is definitely the other thing that I learned. With so many things coming up, what exactly is space law? I mean, people nowadays don't have much idea about space. So space law is something completely different. And now I can go up to them and be like, hey, do you know something? Something that's super cool. Have you ever heard about space law? And they're like, no, wait, there's something like that in space. And when you start explaining it to them, they're so excited. A lot of them, they start searching up, they start searching about it, asking more about it. And that's, I think, that's super awesome. I definitely had a great experience working with everyone here. And one of the things that I would like to tell future interns to do is, just be open for everything. Just be open for every challenge or any question, and be as curious as you can, because I think that's one of the things that will get you to learn about so much, especially in case law, because when you start asking, okay, how far can we go in this, or how much can be done, or what exactly is this, you start getting these answers, and then you start the research, and then it's another story altogether. But yeah, I mean, you have to be open to everything, and just ask as many questions as you can. So that's yeah, that would probably be what I would like to say.
Thank you so much. And I will say a highlight for me from your time was the presentation you gave to us about your experience as an analog astronaut, which is really cool. I love that you brought sort of the scientific side of things from your background. And I think that's a wonderful benefit, is, being able to merge legal understanding and scientific understanding. That's so important in this field. So I know everyone really enjoyed that presentation. Back to Diana, I think you probably kind of touched on this already, just talking about how things kind of advanced at your school and now having the space law class. But, if you want to talk a little more about anything you found to be particularly beneficial about the program, and any anecdotes you would want to share with current or future interns.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Tapaswini said about being open. The Women of Color in Space series, I didn't have any legal work per se, but because, like I said, because I was open-minded to helping out with that, it led to the development within my own school. And so just keeping that open mind, understanding that this nonprofit is still new, it's in its baby stage, even when I was interning. And so it's really exciting because your input is actually very valuable to the organization. And, to be aggressive, if you have an idea, they're always open-minded and, open ears and welcoming about that idea. If you have questions, everyone's always available. And if they're not, they're always, willing to give you other access to other people that may help with a question that you have, whether it's research, whether it's an idea that maybe you want to publish, or a program that you want to create within Space Court Foundation. And so, having that in mind, I think you will find that this internship will be very fruitful for you. You put in whatever you put in, you get back twice, so I highly recommend for anyone who's willing to put in the work.
All right, thank you so much. So I'm really grateful that you all came and spoke and shared your perspective. Hopefully this is helpful to current or future interns. And we really are creating a community here, and so it's great to be able to stay in touch and kind of build our network of professionals in this field. So we're hoping to add more people to the community. I'm really grateful again to Diana and Tapaswini for talking with us. We have just a couple minutes left, and so I think I'm going to try to, I want to build a little bit on something that both Tapaswini and Diana kind of mentioned about other programs that we do and possibilities for interns. And this is something we've really tried to formalize this year by having now three tracks for our internship program. So I'm going to attempt to just share a couple of slides. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, just one or two slides that I just want to focus on. So hopefully you can all see this. That this year we're really kind of focusing on 3 different tracks, so that people can get various different types of skill and career opportunities. So we have the legal clerkship, which the majority of our interns have been doing, which is really legal research and writing focused. But we've also kind of formalized into their own tracks a communications clerk position and a programming clerk position. And I want to stress both of these to you all to think about, or to let colleagues or friends know about, because I think both of the skill sets with these 2 new types of tracks that we have are really helpful from a career building standpoint as well. Being a communications clerk, which is what Tapaswini essentially started out as, although in a more informal way, it's a great opportunity. You're on a team with officers of the Space Court Foundation. You're coming up with really cool content about space law and policy, and you're building that skill that a lot of employers are really looking for these days, and most likely will be into the future. Being able to, be nimble in communication and social media is a really great skill. So this is a great resume building opportunity. It can also be a lot of fun, and so that's for, you don't have to be a law student to do that or anything. But even if you are a law student and you just kind of want to build this other aspect of skill, that is an opportunity. Similarly with the programming clerk, working on, coordinating events, webinars, doing outreach to speakers. It gives you an opportunity to meet people, to network. And again, this is another skill as the world goes more and more virtual, being able to know how to coordinate and plan webinars and different types of events. It's a great skill to have, again, as a resume builder, in addition to, kind of your bread and butter legal research and writing skills, which are incredibly important, obviously, and, the bulk of what we aim to do as an educational nonprofit. But, all the great legal research and writing we do really is only so good as how we communicate it. And the way we communicate it in a lot of ways is through our social media platforms, through programming and events that we do. And so they all really work together in a great way. But this is something we're really formalizing this year. And so I encourage folks, if your legal internship is about to be up and you want to stay involved with the organization, consider applying to be a programming clerk or a communications clerk, if that's something that is interesting to you and you want to build on those skills. And then again, the advocate position is new this year, and it's a great post-internship opportunity to stay sort of officially involved with the organization. And so I would encourage you all to, as your year comes to an end, let me know if that's something you're interested in trying to stay on and do. It involves potentially coming with me to speak to students who are interested in learning about the program. It might be speaking on behalf of the organization in some outreach capacity. And it also involves, potentially providing advice to current interns and clerks. Say, you've moved on to an LLM program and some of our current interns are considering that path. This is a way for you as an advocate to kind of talk to them about your experiences and give back. We're really an organization that's trying to kind of help move everyone along and advance in space law and policy. And so we really want to have those opportunities available. And finally, as people mentioned, like Jonathan mentioned throughout, post-internship, there are sometimes positions that come up. There can be vacancies for officer positions. And so if someone's interested in that, please let me know. We have the rapporteur positions that Chris talked about and advisor opportunities. So we love to keep our, community going together. And so we just want to make sure everyone's kind of aware of this, wherever you are at during your year in your internship. I think the rest of my slides have pretty much been covered, and we are, we are at the end. We're at the end of the program. So I am going to stop there. And if anyone has any questions, lingering questions you want to ask, feel free. Otherwise, I want to thank you all for joining and hope that you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night.